So, good morning. This is your host, Deirdre Todd, candidate with the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, District 183. Today, we're going to talk about a really hot topic that appeared this week, which is the decimation of the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission and state discrimination claims. Is this the final nail in the DEI coffin? As I said, I'm your host, Deirdre Todd. I am running for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, District 183. Please check out my other Community Coffee with Deirdre videos. They are available on Facebook and on YouTube. So this week I received a call from a reporter. I've contributed to probably dozens, possibly hundreds of articles over the decades on a variety of issues relating to law, business, mental health, physical health, you name it. Um, this week I received a call because of some actions taken by the governor of Pennsylvania with respect to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, the PHRC, which may have led to the possible destruction of an agency that we relied on for discrimination claims. I strongly advise you to check out the article. It's a great article written by Whitney Downard. Following an investigation and resignations. What's next for Pennsylvania's Human Relations Commission? Well, really, really, really good question. Again, I have included the link to the article at the end of the program. I strongly recommend that you Google it or check it out via that link. The article goes through a lot of different aspects of the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, but as a former civil rights and employment attorney of 23 years or so, I have a great deal of experience with the PHRC as well as its federal component, the EEOC. Both of those agencies are required for anybody as a plaintiff to file a complaint against a defendant for any allegation of discrimination. So, possible destruction of the PHRC, what's going on? And why is this so critical? It's a government agency. We've never heard of them. We've never brought a complaint. We don't know what they do. Okay, why is this so critical? Well, it's critical because the way the law is set up, anybody who wants to bring a claim of discrimination against their employer, against a union, it doesn't matter if it's public or private, if they want to avail themselves of the federal laws, must absolutely 100% must have a letter showing that they filed, must have the letter saying the case was closed from the EEOC in order to file in court. Same thing happens on the state level. If you want to file under the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act, you must show that you filed with the PHRC. You must show that they closed your case. You must show that all of that is nice and tidy and clean before you can go into court and file a claim, and you have very limited time frames within which to do those things. So, given, and I'll give you a spoiler, that the EEOC has been gutted by President Trump, if we lose the PHRC as well, now we have nowhere to file a complaint of wrongdoing under any of the discrimination laws. That's why it's important. So, what exactly does the PHRC do? They hear employment discrimination claims prior to a plaintiff filing in court. And you must allege what you're going to allege in court, and they will hear out the claims. You will have to provide some kind of proof. They may meet with you. You may have mediations and arbitrations on your case. This is not a once and done automated process. This is a prolonged process required by state law. And if your employer has 4 or more employees, you probably, as if you were a plaintiff, filed a claim under the PHRA, even if you also filed one with the EEOC. This must be done, so think about that. If it has to be done, but there's nowhere to file, what does that mean? That means that plaintiffs can't do what they intended to do, which is to bring a lawsuit, and their rights have been curtailed. Now, I'm not saying that all the claims are good, right, fair. I've defended many, 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 many cases, especially against for small businesses, absolutely against spurious claims, done, again, dozens, maybe hundreds over my career. Just because someone files a claim doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean the PHRC will tell them it's good. But this is mandatory to get out from under these types of claims for small employers as well. So losing it actually is harmful to both a plaintiff and a defendant who risks the case that the claim may not be put to bed. So, employment discrimination claims, what are they? Well, there's a laundry list, and it basically is predicated on the idea of bias, which is typically inherent within a personal trait, such as race, gender, age, disability. There are other protected classes. There are also other laws that are similar. For example, discrimination against a veteran is impermissible, but this does not fall under what the EEOC or PHRC does. So, as a result, most of the discrimination employment related laws fall under the PHRA in Pennsylvania. That's not to say there aren't a couple that fall outside, but we're talking the majority of the laws, and if you can't go to the PHRC, then where the heck do you go? This is a major way of messing with the system. Okay, so on April 9th, 2026, it was announced that the PHRC has faced a crisis of vacancies and resignations, including the chair, Joel Bolstein, who had been involved with the PHRC since 1999, as well as the vice chair, Dr. Raquel Yangst. There are also quorum issues. There must be 6 commissioners. By the way, this is exactly the same thing that happened with the EEOC, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. The number of commissioners dropped below the required 6 for a quorum. This lack of a quorum could delay or even halt the commission's ability to provide specific guidance, hear cases, or deliver justice to the people it serves. If you don't have a quorum, you can't take action. Basics of a business meeting, basics of a board meeting. There must be a quorum to take any effective action, to have a vote. So if you don't have a quorum, does that mean that the PHRC can't do its job? And if the PHRC can't do its job, what does that mean for somebody who must use this government agency in order to file a lawsuit? This is abridging our rights in an impermissible way. April 20th, 2026. So, as if things weren't bad enough in the beginning of April, then, according to how it's been reported, the executive director was ordered by the governor to resign his job effective June 30th, amidst an investigation into how his office was spending taxpayer dollars. He indicated that his resignation was involuntary. So we don't have a quorum. We've lost a bunch of key people. And now you get rid of our executive director. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't valid, but what are you leaving us with as your constituents in Pennsylvania? As I had indicated earlier, about a year and a half ago, President Trump had decimated the EEOC in a very calculated way. There's really no question based on the information provided. And the EEOC is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the federal agency that hears federal and state discrimination claims, which is also mandatory for anybody filing a claim under any of the laws of the EEOC. So that could be Title VII, Age Discrimination and Employment Act, the ADA, the Disability Act. There are not all, but the majority of the disability, discrimination, age, race, gender, or sexual orientation, all of that falls under the EEOC. And Trump systematically dismantled the majority of the EEOC by making sure they didn't have a quorum, by causing resignations, and whether he ordered the resignation or whether they simply just left because of him, but thereby disabling the EEOC. That was bad enough because, once again, it's mandatory. But now we have the same thing happening a year later. So this is just one of the many hundreds of articles, if not thousands, on the EEOC removing 2 commissioners. Since then, the EEOC has actually been sued for a hostile work environment itself, and many, many, many people have alleged, and it's not much of a surprise, that the president has curbed what the EEOC will hear according to his own agenda, which is not really based on anything relating to the discrimination laws or DEI. This is from the National Law Review. Again, here's the link if you want to look it up. And that's January 29th of last year. So we have no EEOC, we have no PHRC. Ostensibly, that leaves us with nowhere to go. So trim stripping of the EEOC, not a huge surprise. But what is happening with Governor Josh Shapiro? It seems like he's walking down a similar path. Somehow very much a surprise. That's scary, though. Now, his office states that it is working diligently to nominate new commissioners to fill the vacancies. But as of late April, and that's not that long ago, no specific names have been put forward for these roles, nor has a replacement been named for the outgoing executive director. What's going on? So let's assume that he's right about the PHRC spending. Let's say there's something of foul in with the executive director and Mr. Lassiter. Let's assume that Governor Shapiro is correct and these are appropriate that something needs to be done. Great. Okay. Fine. It's possible. Absolutely. Government spending, this is the golden toilet seat, right? But should have Governor Shapiro allowed for the PHRC to be so decimated, given that the EEOC has already been so stripped by President Trump? Was there another way to do it that would have allowed people to exercise their rights in a different way? And even if he was right, shouldn't he have planned for it, putting people on suspension, doing thorough investigations prior to forcing resignations? Shouldn't he have fixed the issue of having no quorum before he decides to run it down further? These are all questions that I have and that we should all have. And that's assuming he's right. I don't know. We don't know. We have not been given enough information by the governor's office. And this is a place where transparency really matters. It is my policy to be transparent. It is part of my brand. Honesty, transparency. I call it as I see it. This is about the people. It is not about the politicians, and it's not about the parties. The right is right and wrong is wrong. Always happy to listen and learn, absolutely critical, but that doesn't mean you pander to anyone. So, at any rate, these are the issues that we face right now with the PHRC. Thank you so much. I want to give a great shout out to Whitney Downard and the Penn Capital Star. For more, this is the click to the article itself. I would certainly suggest that you read it. Really well done, well written, well reported. I'm honored to be part of it. And thank you also to the National Law Review for its article on President Trump and the EEOC from January 2025 as referenced. All right, so this is Community Coffee with Deirdre. New episodes every week. Check back in with us. Please take the opportunity. Check out my pages. Please, PAC support is really important for this run, this campaign. It is a challenge, and I want to reach out to each and every one of you in my district, District 183. Please feel free to reach out to me. I welcome the opportunity. So, thank you very much for your attention today. Let me know if you have any questions. This is Deirdre Camber Todd, candidate, Pennsylvania House of Representatives, District 183, for the people, not the parties.